Like playing off of Caitlin Clark, Kelsey Mitchell, and Aaliyah Boston.
I mean, they make my job really easy, right? It's awesome. And if her team's not winning in a scrimmage or a drill, like she's competitive and she's gonna do everything she can to win.
Fans, and she was drafted to the W in 2022 with the Indiana Fever in the first round as the 6th pick. I'm talking about professional basketball player Lexie Hull.
Oh, look, you've been on the Fever for 3 years now, but this year, you go from a rebuilding team to now you guys are selling out arenas. You're a fan favorite. You're being recognized on the street. Like, what?
Ever felt like giving up on your dreams? Lexie Hull did. She was riding the bench, watching her WNBA career slip away. Fans were doubting her, and she was questioning everything. But then something crazy happened. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now back to the video. Caitlin Clark showed up and bam! Everything changed. Hull went from bench warmer to key player almost overnight.
In a previous interview, you talked about struggling throughout the season. So what changed and how are you able to turn the page so that the end of the season went a lot better?
But how? What did Clark do that transformed not just Hull, but the entire Indiana Fever team? You won't believe the wild ride that followed. Picture this: Lexie Hull, the 6th overall pick in the 2022 draft, sitting on the bench, watching her WNBA dreams fade away. It's tough, right? Hull was barely getting minutes, and fans were starting to question if she even belonged on the team.
Fans, and she was drafted to the W in 2022 with the Indiana Fever in the first round as the 6th pick. I'm talking about professional basketball player Lexie Hull.
You know how it feels when you're trying your best, but nothing seems to work? That was Hull's reality. But then, boom! Caitlin Clark arrives on the scene and everything changes. It's like someone flipped a switch. Hull's first practice with Clark? It was electric. Hull said Clark's competitive fire was so intense, it pushed everyone to step up their game. Can you imagine being in that gym? The energy must have been off the charts.
If her team's not winning in a scrimmage or a drill, like she's competitive and she's gonna do everything she can to win.
Here's the crazy part. Hull's confidence just skyrocketed. Suddenly, she's draining threes like it's nothing. It's like Clark's presence unleashed something in Hull that was just waiting to come out. And the chemistry between them on the court? Unreal. They're making passes you won't believe, connecting like they've played together for years. You want to know how bad Hull's situation was before Clark joined? It was rough. Her shooting percentages were low, and she was struggling to make any kind of impact. Fans were starting to forget she was even on the team. But now, it's a whole different story. In just a few weeks, Hull went from being that forgotten draft pick to a key player for the Fever.
Playing time definitely looked different than it did at the end. So trusting that, I was staying ready, putting in the work so that when I did get the minutes out on the court, that I could take full advantage of them.
She's making crucial shots, helping the team gain momentum. Hull even said that finally being able to let it fly and seeing her hard work pay off feels incredible. Can you imagine that feeling?
And realize that the start of the season isn't the biggest deal. It's how we finish and how we get better. And really proud of just the resiliency of the group.
Going from thinking your career might be over to suddenly being a vital part of the team, it's like Hull found her place in the WNBA almost overnight, and it all started with Clark's arrival. That's the power of great teamwork and a little bit of superstar magic.
Oh, look, you've been on the Fever for 3 years now, but this year, you go from a rebuilding team to now you guys are selling out arenas. You're a fan favorite. You're being recognized on the street. Like, what?
Hull's story just goes to show that sometimes all it takes is one person to believe in you to completely turn things around. You won't believe how bad things were for the Indiana Fever at the start of the season. They were the laughingstock of the WNBA. No joke. 1 win and 8 losses? That's rough. Fans were ready to give up, and the locker room was tense.
It's sick that we had lost so many games, and also feeling like we were better than that.
It seemed like another disastrous year was on the horizon. But then, boom, Caitlin Clark shows up and everything changes. It's like she brought a lightning bolt of energy with her. The whole team's vibe shifted overnight. Hull said Clark wasn't afraid to push them when things weren't working. Can you imagine the intensity in those practices? Speaking of practice, get this. Hull and her teammates were going up against guys in training. That's right, male practice players. And Clark? She was right there in the mix, holding her own and pushing everyone to step up. Her competitive fire was contagious.
Yeah, I think, she sees the game at a bigger scale, obviously with the platform that she's created for herself, and then that's transitioned to the game.
Here's where it gets wild. Hull's improvement wasn't just about her. It sparked something in the whole team. Suddenly, everyone was playing better. It's like Clark's arrival created a domino effect of awesomeness. You know what's even crazier? The fans noticed. Ticket sales went through the roof. Hull said playing in front of sold-out crowds at home gave them energy they hadn't felt in years. Can you picture it? The arena packed, the crowd roaring, the team feeding off that electric atmosphere. And remember when I said something insane happened in Hull's first practice with Clark? Well, here it is. Clark's competitiveness was so intense, it literally changed the way the team practiced.
We've seen just such a growth year after year. So, it's been so fun. The fans in Indiana have been amazing. So just excited to keep playing there.
Coach Christy Sides even said Clark's ability to elevate her teammates is what sets her apart. That's next level stuff. The Fever went from underdogs to contenders in the blink of an eye. They won 9 of their last 13 games heading into the playoffs. That's a total 180 from where they started. Hull emphasized how much their newfound camaraderie played a part in their success. She said a lot of it came from really caring about each other and building friendships off the court.
I think it was important to get to know her off the court because I do think that, connections, getting to know people really play a part in the success of team.
It's like the Fever found a whole new identity. They're not just a team anymore. They're a force to be reckoned with. And it all started with one rookie who refused to accept mediocrity. That's the power of great leadership and teamwork. The Fever story just goes to show that sometimes all it takes is one person to ignite a revolution. You know what's crazy? Hull and Clark aren't just teammates, they're actually friends off the court. And that friendship? It might be the secret sauce to their success.
I like playing off of Caitlin Clark, Kelsey Mitchell, and Aaliyah Boston.
They make my job really easy, right? It's awesome. And
Hull said it herself. Caring about each other and building friendships was a big part of her success at Stanford. Now she's bringing that same energy to the Fever. Can you imagine how that changes things? Hull calls Clark funny and a prankster. It's not all serious business with these two.
The football part of the transition is really tough. Everybody out on the court was one of the best players on their college teams, definitely the best player.
That bond they've built, it's showing up on the court big time. Hull's confidence is through the roof now. She says having Clark on the team makes everyone better. So what's next for the Fever? With this dynamic duo leading the charge, who knows? They've already turned things around so fast. If they keep this up, the Fever might just become the WNBA's next powerhouse. Wouldn't that be something?